Feeling a little bit more at home now. As you can see, the kit's getting bigger. And we've expanded it a bit. Now it's, whereas before we had the 5-piece kit, now we've just added 3 additional drums. We have another 10-inch rack tom, a 10-inch piccolo snare, and another 22 by 16 kick drum. And just from adding those 3 drums, you could see the entire dynamics of the kit has changed. And now there's a whole new approach that you can apply to this setup. Obviously, I've added a lot more cymbals to the setup as well, and as a result of that, I'm using a lot of interesting clamps and multi-clamps, all different pieces of TAMA hardware, which make adding on little cymbals and splashes and crashes so much easier than it used to be with having a million stands on the floor. Now you can have a lot of cymbals and stuff hooked up just with the multi-clamps, and it makes life a lot easier.
Okay, before I play, I'd like to discuss how to hold the drumsticks. There's 2 different ways. This is match grip, or this traditional. I like to play match grip because I get the most power out of my playing. Basically, just find a point of the stick where you have good balance between your thumb and your forefinger. Once you get that, you want to wrap the other fingers around over here. You have a lot of balance in your pinky. But I'm a pretty hard player, so I don't really worry about my fingers too much. Once you have that, you just get a good balance of your hand and your stick there. See that?
When I was trained, most of what you were doing was with your fingers and your wrist, okay? So the grip was based on holding the stick in this first joint here with your thumb, like that. You get like a little pressure there, and you have your fulcrum. The next thing was this finger would support that finger, this finger would support the finger in front of it, and so on. And you tried to keep the stick somewhat in the center of your hand, and you played a combination of wrist stroke, like this, with fingers. Now, with timpani, we learned to play with our thumbs up, like this, and we used finger technique, thus like this. Notice the wrist is not moving. It's all fingers. With marimba, we learned to play with our hands flat like this, thumbs to the side, and you used all wrist. No fingers. Okay? But with drum set, I don't play with my thumbs up most of the time, except for maybe when I go to the ride cymbal, because it's just natural to do that. Most of the time I play not with my hands sideways either, because it doesn't feel natural. I play what they call oblique, a little bit turned this way, in between. The convenient thing about that is when you play with a lot of power like I do, the shock does not go into your finger or into your thumb, into this forefinger like this, or into your thumb. The shock goes between, if anything. As a matter of fact, sometimes when I'm trying to play more relaxed, I will let go of these first 3 fingers and play with the back of my hand like this, which creates like me throwing the stick at the drum or the cymbal. It helps with the groove, and it takes a lot of the pressure and tension off of your fingers. So you're playing hard, but you're throwing the stick at the instrument and letting it come off the instrument in a natural way.
I actually play with my left stick with the butt end out and my right stick with the tip out. And it's kind of an unorthodox approach to holding your sticks, but the reason for that is I like the power that you get with the butt end on the snare. So my left stick, I play with the butt end to get a lot of power on the snare. And I used to play with both butt ends out, but I found that I couldn't get much definition on the hi-hat and on the ride with the butt end. So I flipped my right stick around, and now I play with the tip out on the right stick. So this way the hi-hat and the ride, I can get a lot of definition with the tip of the stick.
The bass drum basically what I do is I try to hit the bass drum by throwing the beater into the head and keeping it against the head. So in order to do this, I play with my heel up. Probably because I play rock and roll more than I do anything else, I developed this technique of power, as opposed to keeping the heel flat and taking the beater off of the head. Now, I must say that when you take the beater off of the head, you get more tone out of the drums. So there's nothing wrong with that. They're just totally two different ways of playing the drum. One is like the beater off the head, like this. Okay, or into the head with raising your heel. You can hear one is a little bit more powerful. By throwing the beater in the head, you get more attack and more volume and power. You don't get quite as much tone because you're muffling the head.